fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
The constitutional point of view was critical for Jefferson's support of the Bill of Rights.
As we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens, I can hear you!
Is time running out?
It's Saturday. Welcome to the Hayden Collins radio program, The Intelligence Syndicate. Working hard on location in California this week. Parts unknown, but we will escape. Actually, I escaped Friday. I had this wonderful theme going. I figured the Intelligence Syndicate would love it. There's this old movie made after World War II called The Great Escape. It was actually about a true incident that took place of a bunch of American and British POWs that escaped, and they made such a mass escape that the German SS killed a lot of them. They just captured them and killed them. They just shot them unarmed as obvious war crimes. But the movie is called Great Escape, if you have the chance to watch it. I posted it on Facebook with the theme song saying I'm getting out of California. Now, here's the funny thing. This was brought to my attention by one of the interns. I've been doing a lot of traveling back and forth to California this year working with the university system, right? According to California law, right there should break you guys up in laughter anyway. But according to California law, I have been in the state of California long enough to claim citizenship. And since I'm not legal in the state of California, I actually fall under the illegal alien clause. So I qualify for free health care and I qualify for free education. That just nutted me up. It was like, really? Really, people? And they pulled up the law and showed it to me. I said, you've got to be kidding me. So, yeah, that was a little weird. Got to watch the debates this week. Actually, I have to confess, I watched maybe 30 minutes of the debate before I just turned it off. As repetitive as it was nothing new. There was nothing in place, nothing that reached out to anybody, nothing that said, here's leadership. You know, so I've got an observation for you. And this is one of those offhand observations. When President Trump was running for office, we had 17, 18, 19 individuals running for office to begin with. A couple of them dropped, and then it got smaller, and then it got smaller. And, you know, that's how it works, okay? And that's how the debate works. It's all about fundraising and what they're going to do, and the supporters, special interest groups that are going to support them, so on and so forth. The first two debates, or let's just say all of them, the observation I have is they present no leadership. Now, before you get wrapped around the axle on this, I want you to understand the observation. So you go back and look at snippets, you go back and look at anything that they're talking about. There is nothing on stage that they have said that's outside of a government program. There is no leadership outside of a government program. Everything they talk about is government programs. You know, so here's the phrase that I'm going to use. This: Democrats are good at running and growing government. They're not good at leading a country. Their answer of leadership for a country is government. And all you have to do is go back and look at these debates and just look at what they're saying over and over and over again. And you're not going to see anything different than government. I don't care what they say. You know, government. Here it is. Government. Government, government, government. they have nothing to propose. They have no solutions. They have no leadership other than bureaucratic leadership. And for those of you that are old enough to remember what it was like under the Obama administration, it was awful. They would create a government program for everything, even healthcare. They tried creating a government program for healthcare, which really destroyed itself and destroyed everything around it. Government programs are not solutions. And creating safety nets for everybody in a government does not lead the people of a nation. Does not encourage them to do well, does not encourage them to grow businesses, does not encourage them to work towards goals and objectives. What we've seen in the past 3 years is what happens when a country's morale turns around and you have positive leadership, which is absolutely amazing. I look forward to this election season as we see. Oh, here's the other thing. President Trump said something last week that was absolutely amazing. Anytime you come up against a individual and they have no defense for what they're doing, or no defense for what they've said, or no defense of what they plan on doing, they will call you a racist. So no matter what it is, even if they are wrong, they're a racist, or you're a racist. See, the default is, that's the default defense. It doesn't matter, what it is. You're a racist. So Trump's calling them out on it. And they can't defend themselves, because usually after that comment, people back down and go, oh no, I'm not a racist, this, any other, they back down. And Trump didn't back down. He doubled down on it. And what are they going to do, call him a racist twice? They still have no defense for what he said. And see, the strange thing is, and of course he's picking on the Democratic leadership that has been in office forever, and their districts have not improved. In fact, they've gotten worse. And he doesn't have that far to go. I mean, he's got Nancy Pelosi's district and some other districts he can run to and see that, it's the same. So, there's some strategies going on there, and those strategies are pretty cool. I like the way, when you're calling these people out on it, they still have no defense. They still have no defense. Claiming you're somebody as a racist, claiming somebody as a racist is not a defense. All it is a distraction, because you have no defense and you have failed. So that has been such an eye-opening experience watching that happen. Anyway, that's what the comments were, and that's how it played out. The perception of this is kind of awkward. Okay, we've had this discussion before. I'm going to talk about minimum wage a little bit. The minimum wage sham, if you will, that is going on is kind of funny in one way, but in another way it's ignorant, economically ignorant. So in order to provide the best example for this, I'm going to throw out a Facebook post that was out there so you can get a handle on this, which kind of is neat. They show this McDonald's menu in a photograph from 1972. And a hamburger is 25 cents, a Big Mac is 62 cents. I mean, everything's reasonable. Gasoline was 52 cents a gallon. So the minimum wage in 76 was raised to $2.10 an hour. Okay. And in 76, the hamburger was 67 cents and the Big Mac was $1.25. Okay. And the minimum wage kept going up exponentially. What is it, $8.25 now? Whatever, $9.25. And now the Big Mac is, $5.28, and you can get a Big Mac meal if you want, whatever the case may be. But the lesson I want to bring to you is that McDonald's, it could be your caveat for discovering how the minimum wage works. See, McDonald's pays its employees minimum wage. Of course, McDonald's is really good about college programs. I worked at McDonald's for 4 years when I was going through college. That's how I got my hot meals, believe it or not. I got one hot meal a day when I worked for them part-time. And I got like 30 hours a week, and I did that while I was going through school, specifically for the hot meal and the spare change. But they paid minimum wage, and I was there for a few years, and I actually, when I left McDonald's, I was making $1.80 above minimum wage. But yeah, it was about $1.80 above minimum wage. And it was pretty neat. It was actually a pretty decent job. I learned a lot about leadership. I learned a lot from Hamburger University, a lot about customer service, a lot about retail service, a lot about food industry, ordering, and getting things done. So there was an educational process there that I really loved that was part of the job. At one time, McDonald's was the largest trainer in the United States. That's how effectively it was. I enjoyed that job. Anyway, I'm going to the minimum wage here. Now, what I want you to get from the menus that are posted for McDonald's is every menu that's posted, I want you to look at the minimum wage for that year and match it to the menu. Every time the minimum wage was increased, the cost of buying a hamburger went up. Because McDonald's does not care what the minimum wage is. If the federal government says the minimum wage is $10,000 an hour, McDonald's is going to raise the cost of their hamburgers to cover what the federal government wants to pay these individuals to work in fast food so they can sell hamburgers. And it's been done that way ever since, 1972. Well, it's probably done earlier than that, but since 1972 is what we can pull the menus down and see. So it does not matter the minimum wage because the cost is going to be passed on to the consumer. So it does not matter if it's $15. It doesn't matter if it's $1. Okay? The cost of the minimum wage will be passed on to the consumer. Your costs are going to go up. Okay? And that's a fact of life. That's the way it's going to be. So every time these individuals get up there and say, oh, well, we need to increase the minimum wage to a living wage of $15 an hour. Okay, well, people don't go out in life to say, geez, I want to work a minimum wage job. Hopefully they get themselves into a position where they have some experience and some skills to sell themselves, to get a decent job. Education's a big part of that. Experience is a big part of that. Okay? And then you go and do things. You go and make money. I'm looking at, people working at McDonald's as a career. In the management side, there's money in it, but not in the hourly side. And you got to ask yourself, geez, how did you end up here? But that's neither here nor there. We're going to take it to the next level. Here's the next level. The minimum wage in Podunk, Georgia, if it was $15 an hour, would break Podunk, Georgia, because the cost of living in Podunk, Georgia is nowhere near that. The opposite side of this is downtown San Francisco, where an apartment is $7,000 a month. You can't have a minimum wage job there. Even at $15 an hour, you're never going to make it. So you have all these major metropolitan areas that cost a lot of money to live in. And they're the ones that are screaming for a living wage and for, the government to step in and make employers pay more, because the cost of their apartments have gone up, the cost of food has gone up, because that is the major metropolitan area's market. Just like in Podunk, Georgia, the market is, $480 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. It doesn't cost that much. The minimum wages should be controlled by the states and the regions, which means the market should control the wages. You sell yourself for the talents you have available to you. Now this goes a little bit further too. Football players, basketball players, baseball players have enormous talents, and they sell and contract themselves for millions of dollars to make money in those stadiums to sell entertainment. That's what they are. They're entertainers. Okay? Just like entertainers go to the movies and they sell themselves with agents. They make millions of dollars, acting. They get paid for their talent. They have an agreed price. So, they say, oh my gosh, how can the CEO make this many millions of dollars? Well, you get what you negotiate for. If you negotiate for $10 million a year, you're a good negotiator. I hope you can get it. I hope you can get $100 million a year. It's based on what you can negotiate. Take your skill set and negotiate your skill set and get the job and sell yourself. If you can get it, you deserve it. Okay? It's what you can negotiate for. It's not, I'm forcing the employer to pay that for me because I deserve it. How do you deserve it? There's no deserving in it. You sell your skills. There is a market out there, especially right now. The unemployment rate in our neck of the woods is 2.8%. Well, it's got plus or minus 1%, so it could be actually 3.8%. But it's still ridiculous. This is great. If you're fed up with your employer and you don't like where you're at, go sell yourself to another employer and make more money. Don't force the government to set a standard that that is not going to be followed. Because what's going to happen is your hamburger cost is going to go up. Now, there's an argument to be made economically that the market doesn't react that fast. So if they change the minimum wage, they say, okay, November next year, we're changing the minimum wage. Okay, they're going to make it $15 an hour. For about 4 to 6 months, almost 2 quarters, let's say 2 quarters, those that are making the minimum wage jobs will probably get ahead a little bit. It'll take that long for the market to adjust. But once the market adjusts, they're back to where they started from because the cost is being passed on to the consumer. And like it or not, minimum wage employees are consumers just like the rest of us. So that gap is what they're hoping for. They want to extend that gap. And there's just no way that that's going to happen, especially with current market trends. Anybody with any inkling of economics would be able to sit down and explain this to you probably way better than I can. Just put yourself in the position of, and let's go back to the original statement here. The Democrats that are on stage are not performing any kind of leadership. They're not setting up any kind of leadership. They're just proposing government programs. They want to grow bureaucracies. They want to, set up additional government programs and to do more government stuff. And what we're looking at right now that's kind of undermining their argument is the market with positive reinforcement is doing exceptionally well. This is probably the best we've had in over 60 years. And it's hard to fight the morale of individuals who have money in their pockets. Democrats win when people don't have money in their pockets because they're looking for an out or they're looking for support. Okay? Where they lose is if they can't sell that, because there's no better morale boost than having money in your pocket. And there's a lot of people out there right now. And I have to bring this up too. We're going to be closing out here in a minute or two, but I got to bring this up. And they say, people shouldn't have to work 2 and 3 jobs and this, that, and the other. I'll let you know right now, 2 of my kids are working 2 jobs and going to college right now, and they're enjoying the fact that they have the 2 jobs. The market is so good. One job's paying $16.50 an hour, and the other one's paying $18.50 an hour, and they're both not technical jobs. I mean, they're not fast food, but they're enjoying the market because you can't get employees. So the price of getting employees is trying to make it attractive for these people to come work for you, so they've had to raise their rates. They are so far above minimum wage, it's ridiculous. So you have a little bit of an education and a little bit of knowledge and tenacity to move forward. There are jobs out there for you right now. You have the ability to move forward. You have the ability to do things. You have the ability to make it happen. Go make it happen. Now, let's go to the metropolitan areas for a moment. In the metropolitan areas, they don't have that many opportunities. That's why you see the metropolitan areas screaming and striking. There's some controls issues there. These major metropolitan areas like San Francisco, like Detroit, Los Angeles, New York, they all have one thing in common. Chicago, they have one thing in common. Democrat controlled. No matter how many government programs you have, these people are still suffering. Quit focusing on the government programs and let them focus on opportunities, especially in this market, and let's see where the changes go. And some positive reinforcement would probably help as well. Nonetheless, just some observations. Keep watching the debates. See if they change their mind and actually develop some leadership skills and get away from government programs. Because we've seen what that can do. We got that experience during the Obama administration. Didn't work out too well for anybody. We come back from the break. Oops, I Arted is lined up. The Twins are at it again. And you know what? It's the middle of summer. Drink water and try not to dehydrate. Be about it.